All right, let's take on something a little bit more challenging. Let's talk about conditional statements. You use them all the time. Conditional statements were discussed in chapter 2.12 in your course text. Conditional statements take on the form of if-then statements or their equivalent. So you see on your screen, if it quacks, then it's a duck is a conditional statement. But of course, it's not a standard form categorical statement. To translate it into a standard form categorical statement, we're going to have to begin with the same question we've been using. Is this statement telling me something about all of something or just some of something? Conditional statements always tell us about all of something. Did you make that as a note for yourself? Conditional statements always tell us about all of something. So we're going to translate conditional statements either as A statements, all, or E statements, no. Now here there's there's two possibilities. Perhaps if it quacks, then it's a duck means all animals that quack are ducks. Or it means all ducks are animals that quack. And I'm going to suggest to you that it means the first but not the second. Remember, converted A statements are not logically equivalent. So it's going to be one or the other of these, and I'm going to suggest to you that the statement we're looking for is all animals that quack are ducks, because their original says, if it quacks, then it's a duck. It doesn't say that every duck quacks. Maybe the duck's got a broken quacker, and so it's a duck, but it doesn't quack. But if it quacks, then it's a duck. So all animals that quack are ducks. My PowerPoint's going screwy on me here. All right. Now there's a general rule that you want to take careful note of, and that is this. When you're dealing with a conditional statement, whatever follows the if part of the statement is going to be translated as your subject term. And whatever follows the then part of the statement is going to be translated as the predicate term. Okay? So that means that when we get a statement like this, if it's a burrito, then I'll eat it, I can use this rule to figure out how to translate it. There's two possibilities. All burritos are things I eat, all things I eat are burritos. And we know from our rule that, well, whatever comes after the if is my subject term. So it's got to be this first option, because I eat things other than just burritos. It's not all things I eat are burritos, but if it's a burrito, I'm going to eat it. So all burritos are things that I eat. Now, one of the tricky things about conditional statements is that they can take on different forms. So very frequently, particularly in casual conversation, we're going to see forms that use if-then. But there's a whole bunch of variations, like given that or assuming that. And in that case, we want to keep in mind that whatever follows that phrase or word that's providing the if function of the statement, that is going to be our subject term. We're going to translate that as our subject term, and whatever follows the then is our predicate term. So if we have a statement like, given that it's broken, then it doesn't work. Well, I remember my rule. Whatever follows given that is going to be my subject term. Broken things, okay? No broken things are things that work, or the aversion, all broken things are non-working things, okay? Similarly, assuming that these are cigarettes, then they're flammable. Again, I can use my rule. Whatever comes after assuming that is going to be translated as my subject term. All cigarettes are flammable things. No cigarettes are non-flammable things. Again, either one works just fine because those are aversions of one another. Another problem with conditional statements is that sometimes the if doesn't come at the beginning of the statement. Okay? I love pie if it's blueberry. But the rule still applies. Whatever follows if is going to be my subject term. So if the if is at the beginning of the sentence, my subject term is going to appear at the beginning of the sentence. But if the if is in the middle of the sentence, then my subject term is going to appear towards the end of my sentence. So when I translate it, I want to keep that in mind. Subject term follows the if or its equivalent. So all blueberry pies are pies I love. I love pie if it's blueberry. That means I might love other kinds of pies. I do. I love cherry pie as well. But I love pie if it's a blueberry. All blueberry pies are pies I love. Another tricky thing about conditional statements is the phrase only if. Okay? What we just said is that when we're dealing with a statement that has the word if in it, whatever follows if is the subject term, or is going to be translated as our subject term. But if it's only if, the rule's kind of flipped. Whatever follows the phrase only if is going to be the predicate term, and the subject term is going to come before. We'll talk about much more about this later on in the course. Okay, it's a dog only if it's a canine. Okay, we're going to remember that. It's a dog only if it's a canine. If it's a canine, it's a canine is my predicate term. And so all dogs are canines, okay? So whatever follows only if is the predicate term, but whatever follows if is the subject term of our conditional statements when we translate them.